What's your name?
Most people call me Iman from Jersey City a lot, but a lot of people also call me Imani or E. But my name means faith.
And where are you from?
I'm half, that goes to the double first name. I'm half Egyptian, so the Iman comes from Muslim Arabic origin, meaning faith, and then I'm Ethiopian, so my mom used the Swahili origin of it, which is Imani.
And how long have you been in Jersey City?
My entire life. I moved out around high school. My brother went to college in Central Jersey. My mom followed behind him. So I've been in and out, back and forth ever since. But my entire life, I was born and raised in Jersey City.
How do you feel Jersey City has changed in the past decade or so?
Gentrification. This Jersey City isn't the Jersey City I grew up in. It's not the Jersey City I know. When I grew up, there was a lot more for kids to do here. We had Hudson Mall. I love Discovery Zone. So we had Discovery Zone, the arcade. We used to have a carnival on 440. We had more supermarkets, more things in these areas and not necessarily just the downtown area. I feel like in the more recent years, everything was, more targeted towards downtown. So they did a lot of gentrification and rebuilding downtown, but they kind of left these areas alone. I mean, I think they just recently redid Lincoln Park, but aside from that, there's not much there.
What do you feel needs to be done, especially outside of the downtown area?
Resources, a lot more resources for kids. I'm especially thankful for people like Quasia for opening up the art center for kids, but there's not much for kids to do here at all, minus the Chuck E. Cheese and the art center. So resources for kids, places for kids to hang out in the city, and just more outlets. When I was growing up, we didn't even have a lot. I think we had the Boys and Girls Club, but if we weren't athletic, there was nothing for us to do really. So more resources for kids. So the video from the protest at very late, that was actually really unexpected, and just because I'm not into trying to drag a narrative, it actually looked a lot worse than it was. So I'm glad that my point of view was embraced, but the other girl.
Can you talk about what happened though?
So what happened was the protest was almost over, and we were all after the protest we kind of dispersed, or we kind of just broke up into little sections in the park and exchanged dialogue about what's going on right now, and with Black Lives Matter and everything that's going on in the community. And the other girl in the video, she was really just kind of worked up. She had every right to be, but she just was really angry and had a lot of frustration and anger directed towards the police. So she kind of just said something to the effect of F Jersey City or Greenville Section PD. And I kind of started to notice people getting more riled up, and the objective of it all was peaceful protest. And I'm in no way pro police. I'm definitely for the abolition of the police system, just because of what it's built on, and then restarting that infrastructure and redoing it over, because we definitely need that. But in that moment, I was just there's kids out here. It's not really, this isn't the place or time. This isn't organized. We're not doing this. We're not going about it the right way. And my mom lives in Central Jersey, like I had mentioned to you. So the day before, my mom lives in the suburbs right around the corner from Trenton. I saw, literally, I saw cop cars burn. I watched how it went from amazing, powerful, peaceful protest to riot. And I just watched them pretty much pillage an entire Black community. It was terrible. So I just didn't want the same for our community. So I just kind of tried to diet down. But people kind of took it like she was trying to incite a riot. I don't think she was really trying to incite a riot. I just think that her pent-up frustration, could have led to things going in the wrong direction. And the police already did have their riot gear on. So I in no way felt like they were in solidarity with us. So I didn't want to kind of incite that.
That was crazy.
Yeah. It was,
so, how do you feel about everything going on?
Disheartened. But if you grew up of color, or if you grew up in urban environments, or as other people call it, the other side of America, it's not new. This isn't new for me. This isn't new for anybody that's ever been racially profiled. So it's expected. It's definitely expected in Jersey City. I feel like there's a lot of underlying racism, no matter what we say about being so diverse. So, I don't know. I kind of expected it. It was unfortunate though. Once I saw, I had hope. So I'm one of those people, I always say, I'm a hope dealer. I have this strong belief like anything can happen, whatever. And when I saw how Newark and their police officers and their mayor were all in like this solidarity and exchanging dialogue, and they were on the same side, I was hopeful that Jersey City PD would be the same, but I didn't necessarily feel like that's what it was. The blue wall of silence. So they had really nothing to say.
What makes this moment different?
What makes this moment different? I think, so me and Quasia had a long conversation about this, and I was like so on board, like, Quasia, you need to, because Quasia does have a voice in this community. I'm like, you need to do your own protests. I don't mind speaking, because I've shown up to a lot of the protests in the area, and I appreciate the message, but I feel like there's so much we're not even touching on. Like, police brutality is only the tip of the iceberg and what systemic oppression and racism is. So it's like we just keep talking about police brutality, and I get that we're angry and I get that it's warranted, but we know the problem. So at what point do we talk solution and the work? So Quasia was like really against the idea of a protest, and then we kind of came to the conclusion of like a peace rally, which makes more sense because if you think about the definition of a protest, it's like to be totally against something, and then the idea of a rally is to come together, and that's more of a me and Quasia thing, like where our objective is not necessarily to just speak down on the police system, but to really come to this conclusion of what can be done, how we can change the community, and try to like move forward and come up with the solutions together, and also just spread like I said, hope and love and peace, and talk to our kids about it.
Right.
I think like me and Quasia being the moms, like it's like the mom showing.
I mean, I'm a mom too. Yeah.
Right. So at some point you feel like you're desensitizing your kids because we just keep saying F the police, F the police.
What have you been telling? How old are your kids?
I have one.
One kid.
I have a 10-year-old.
And what have you been telling him during this time?
He's kind of always been aware. Unfortunately, like I said, when you are of color in this country, light skin or not, you get profiled a lot. So whether we're in the wrong area or what people consider the wrong area, or I'm driving a car with tinted windows or whatever, like I've been pulled over before with my kid in the car and racially profiled just because it might not have been my car.
Right.
It might have been somebody else's car, like his dad's car, and it comes up black male, black name, tinted windows. Who is that? You know, so he kind of was already aware of it. He's been
exposed to it.
Yeah, he's already been exposed to it. And then also like the neighborhoods I grew up in Jersey City. So like he's been around. We don't live in that neighborhood now, but he's been around. He kind of sees what goes on. And his dad has been racially profiled. Uncles have been racially profiled. So he's aware. But I try to make it bigger than race. I just try to tell him like it's just the human thing to do. Like consciously, like you're supposed to be a good person. You're supposed to care about other people. You're supposed to stand up for what's right. And if something feels wrong, usually it is. So that's just kind of how I always raised them. Not like, okay, well, we see all this color and that's the case. It's just like there's good people in this world and there's bad people in the world of all colors. So, when you see something that you think is wrong, you stand up for yourself or whoever. Right. So that's what he does. He's a good kid.
So, people who are watching this that are, white and they want to be better allies, what word of advice could you tell them?
Get informed. Sometimes I think when you're privileged or you grow up a certain way, you really don't know. Like, you don't know. Unless you've actually experienced it, you don't know. We can be in the same neighborhood and they'll think we're there for two completely different reasons. We can go to the same school. They'll think I got in for one reason, you got in for another. So get informed. Do your due diligence. I'm not telling you like I'm a scholar or anything, but, it's just common sense. And I think, I honestly believe if you are privileged, you kind of know. You just kind of know.
Just know. What do you mean?
You just kind of know.
Yeah.
You know when you walk in and they greet you first, even though I was there waiting, or when they tell me something is sold out or there's not a table and you get that table. You know what privilege looks like. So, it's just doing the work within yourself and unpacking whatever that is or why you feel like that's okay. And
absolutely.
That's
absolutely. It's all self-work. It's self-work.
Right. And look, it's not even just white people. It's like even people of color. It's
Right.
unpacking whatever systemic oppression is done to you.
Right.
Like, I have tons of trauma that I had to unpack to
Right.
become this person. Like, if you knew me growing up, it's literally to the point where people that are like reaching out to me, how like, oh, you're such a positive person, keep being you. Like, I appreciate it, but it's so funny because if you grew up with me, you would have understood that I was such an angry, hurt kid because of some of my experiences coming up. So it's either people that grew up with me don't believe that I'm being genuine, or they're just like amazed at how much I had to unpack and how much self-work. I probably got into 100 fights in high school. It was insane. So it's just like self-work. Self-work. You just have to constantly reflect and say, hey, am I on the right track? Is this who I want to be? Is this where I'm supposed to be?
Right.
Am I setting the right example for my kid?
Right. It's being self-aware.
Yeah, definitely.
Self-aware and aware of your environment, aware of people around you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Any.
I would just say be kind, and just to like, I feel like everybody's in this place of where their mind is just focused on the negative, and I get that it's a lot that we're unpacking here as a country, as a nation, as a
whole world.
as a world,
Yeah.
right? But like, have hope for, like, I feel like people just feel like, okay, police officers, you're horrible. Politics or the people in positions of power are horrible, and I agree. I feel like our systems aren't broken because this is actually how they were set up and designed to like kind of oppress certain people. But I feel like once we knock them down, right? Let's say we do knock them down, because this is an ongoing battle, right? Once we knock all this stuff down, we're gonna, like, this is an uphill battle. Our grandmothers and grandfathers was fighting for this, and now we're here, and our kids are gonna pretty much inherit all of this. So if in our generation or our lifetime we knock it down, we're handing what's left to our kids. We're handing what we rebuild to our kids. So let's not put it in their head that it's bad to become police officers, or it's bad to become first responders, EMTs, people in position of powers. Let's actually instill what we want to see in the world in our children. So maybe it skips this generation, but maybe the next generation becomes those officers we want to see, becomes those people in positions of power and counsel that we want to see.
We have to vote the right people in.
Absolutely. And that doesn't just necessarily mean people of color. It means
Right.
the right people of color, because like
Right.
I said, you can be African American or of color, black or brown, and still not be self-aware.
Right.
So just people that are like actually conscious of their surroundings and their community and what's going on in the world. We have the right to vote. We have to vote the right people in, but we also have to instill the right values in our kids so they continue the work and they create a better future for the generation after them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.